determine what our trade levels are, what our hypotheses are going to be, and then setting up our targets for the day. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, we do a normal routine, although we're going to veer from it today simply because of the fact that they move overnight. So we've got lots to talk about on several different markets. So let's get going. Let me just get the disclaimer out of the way. This information is for the purpose of educating members who want to expand the knowledge of the business of trading. It's not for trading or investment advice. You and only you are responsible for the trades or investment decisions you make. Trading futures or any instrument involves a risk of loss. Please consider carefully whether futures or options are appropriate to your financial situation. Only risk capital should be used when trading futures or options. Investors can lose more than initial investment. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and any trades that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please trade your own plan and do your own due diligence. All right, so just going to quickly go over the numbers because I think there's only a couple key numbers that we have to look at in terms of what happened yesterday and where we need to look. First of all, we are now in a bear month. We are, or just barely, let me see, I didn't look where we were trading. So we're just barely in a bear month now. Our open of the month was 1954.50. So you're going to keep an eye on this 1954.50 for a couple different reasons, but the main reason, because it'll determine whether or not, July is currently bearish or bullish. The other one that you want to pay attention to is this 1921.25, okay, which was our previous month open. So those two numbers have to be, written down in your journal and watch for those very closely. We've already broken the month low. We've got a new month low put in the Globex. I'm not even going to bother going over the numbers here. I mean, we basically, have weakness coming in, and then with the news out of Europe, we've revalued the market, and we're going to open way outside of the range and way outside of value. So we've got a couple possibilities. So let's just jump right over. Well, first of all, let me just do something because I got to get the high and the low. So 1947.50 is our new month low, and our overnight VPOC is 1950.25, where we're currently trading, just below that. You can clearly see that it was about time that Europe opened up that we had this big move down. I think it's got news with Portugal, the Greeks, I don't know. I didn't have time to check yet. But the buyers have stepped in here at this 1950.25, and now we're finding balance in around that. And just above it, you've got a LVN in the Globex, okay, at 1952.75. Mark that down because that's going to be an important level for us on the upside. Of course, 1947.50 is going to be an important number to us on the downside. So let me just bring the sheet up. I want to look at what our 20-day ATR targets are. So currently we have a Globex high at 1968.25 and a low at 1947.50. So our 20-day ATR targets to the upside is going to be 1960.25, and to the low side, we've already broken the range in the Globex, 1955.25. So we've got some serious weakness coming in. We just had unemployment news. Really didn't make much of a difference, simply because of the fact that the market already made a major move. I'm not even sure if it was good or bad. We do have wholesale inventories and natural gas at 9 Central and 9:30 Central, and then we've got the 30-year bond auction at 12. The bond, I think, is going to be the one that's going to be interesting, not so much the wholesale or the natural gas. So taking a look at the trend. The big trend is still intact. We don't really even attempt to invalidate this trend until we break below 1900 on the monthly. So the trend, even though we're seeing some weakness, is still intact on the long-term monthly. One of the levels you're going to want to watch today is this 1933.50, which will be the gap close, the tech gap close, and possibility of a bigger move down to close the gap down here at 1892. And again, we get below the 1900s, then I think we're going to get a trend change in the longer time frame. In the daily, well, we closed that technical gap that I've been talking about all week, came down, and we're now trading below the 9 and the 20, and we definitely have a violation of the trend on the daily. Going over to the geometric chart, I've added a new downward sloping fork I did it on the 4-hour, and we're currently trading right at the lower line of the downward sloping fork. So we need to hold this 1945 level here and look for a possibility of a rotation back up to test the center line today, which will take us back up to 1955. Now, we're in around the area. Let me just calculate where we're trading right now and get a half gap fill. So we had close at 1967.25, and we're currently trading 1948. So a half gap fill is going to take us to 1957.75 roughly. All right, going in, I mean, we'll do it just because we want to stay with our normal routine, especially on days like this. You don't want to jump out of your normal routine. But if we break below this level, look for them to come down and test the center line of the upward sloping fork, the intermediate upward sloping fork, and that'll take us down into the 1925 level today. We've rejected the center line. Also, we could see if we can get acceleration to the downside, we could come down and test the lower line of the long-term upward sloping fork here at 1915. You can see we're creating an interesting energy point coming up in the near future in around 1938. I think that we're going to find some balance in this area, but there's some key levels that we have to hold. Just going to look at the trends on the short term really quickly because I like to stay within my routine. You can see that we've got a major trend down. Now we do have a big technical gap on the 4-hour. You're going to see this on all the intraday time frames where we've got this this major tech gap showing up. So those tech gaps are likely going to have to get closed at some point in time in the next day or so. So you got a tech gap on the 4-hour, just going down to the 30-minute. 30-minute, we actually came up and almost closed that tech gap, and with the news on unemployment, they've actually rejected the 9 and have continued this trend that is on the 30-minute. So we've got a 30-minute downward trend coming into the RTH session. And then the 15-minute, we closed that tech gap here, and now we've rejected the 9 again, and again, we've got a trend on the 15-minute. Let's just go down and take a look at the 5-minute. 5-minute, okay. Now this gives us a little bit more information. We do have a technical gap here, and a move back up to close this tech gap will take us back into the 1949, likely 1950. But we've got a naked cross up here at the 1950, so I'd be targeting this 1950. So let's go and take a look at the big picture. The one I wanted. All right, so we tried to hold balance up here, okay, in where after we made the new high at 1974.25, okay. Then they came down and they couldn't hold the balance here at 1967.50, and we looked for that move down to 1952.75. We said buyers would likely step in and rotate us back up towards this 1967.50. They did that yesterday, but like any market, like any auction, new information, okay, brings revaluation. And overnight we had the Portugal news, and the market took a dump. So what to do? Okay, well, we've got some clear levels, okay, to look at right now. We found some balance down here around the overnight VPOC, in around current VPOC is in Globex is, was it 45? Let me just look here quickly. 1950 and a quarter, and we're making new lows right now. This market's got some weakness coming in. So, the key level for the ES today and where that's got to hold is we've got to hold this 1944 and a quarter. So if you see continued weakness, and I would be very careful on this open. I would wait to see, if you get the buyers. It's going to be hard to take a trade, okay, in this area because there's really nothing down here to guide us other than this 1947.75 and the 1950 overnight VPOC. But the key level below us right now is this 1944 and a quarter. If we don't hold 1944 and a quarter, they're got to find buyers with more conviction. And where are they going to do that? They're likely going to come down here to this 1942.75. That will close out this naked VPOC down here at 1943. But if they can hold 44, which, I'm assuming that they might make a move down here, but I'm thinking we're going to find a two-way open today and a slow balancing in this area with a grind back up through towards this 1953 area again. The half gap is 57, but I would be looking at this 58 and a quarter and a rotation back up to try to get back into yesterday's range. So 44 and a quarter is the area that I would be looking to trade off of, or up here at this 1950. If we get above this 1950, or we reject the 1950 and we rotate and balance and chop around in this area. But we're with this big a move, we've got to see how the RTH traders are going to handle this news and this move overnight. Are they going to pile on, and are they going to accelerate the move down? And we see a serious move down. We don't know that, so wait to see what the market open is and what the opening type is. That's going to be a very important factor on whether or not we get a continuation and a vertical development today, or else we get a rotational day and we just kind of chop around in around this 1947 with a slow upward grind back up to this 1953. So let's go and go put some levels. I mean, it's a lot of levels down here and not a lot of guidance. So you've got the 50. You can see that we balanced down here around the 1950. We've got to watch that 1944 and a quarter. So 44 and a quarter is going to be a trade area that I'd look to find responsive buyers, or capitulation of the buyers and a continuation of the trend. If we break 44, then you've got a good trade down to that 42.75. And even though you've got the first that you want to get in and funded at this 43 and a quarter, I would be targeting the 42.75. And we're making new lows right now, so I'm not going to put the overnight low in, but I'll go ahead and put the overnight high in, because I don't think we're going to get there. I think that is way out of our range right now, but the overnight high is at 68 and a quarter. And our current VPOC is not going to shift. It's 1950.25. And you've got a lot of targets in this range. So 44 is where I'd look first for a trade, and then if we break that, take the trade down into 42.75, but make sure that you are in and funded, because we could get responsive buyers stepping in there, and then rotating us back up through the 44.25, back up to take out the naked VPOC at 1947, come up and grind back up towards this 1952. So I'm going to get rid of, and then above 52.75, that would be the other area that I'd be looking to, either look for responsive sellers stepping in and keeping us, in this balance area around this 1947. You can see that this microcomposite down here, where we came down and found value in around that 1942, the value area high is 50.75, and the value area low is 1937.75. So 39.75 is going to be the other area that I would, if we come down to take that 42.75 out, you've got to look for a possible continuation to test the value area low of this microcomposite, okay, in around that 1940 area. If we break below this 1938, then I think all bets are off, and you've got to be targeting this area down here in around the 1927.25, an acceleration of the trend. But you do have a couple targets in between in this blunt area that we talked about, when we were down here before. You've got 34 and 31.25. But the big number is 27.25. Come on. And the number that absolutely has to hold, or else I see a move down to take out 1900 and test the 1800s again, is this 1922.75. So that's a key line in the sand, okay, on whether or not this is just a revaluation and a move to come down and pick up buyers with more conviction, or whether or not we get a major move down. Below 22, I've already got this from way back before, is that 1875 CHVN, 1675 CLVN, and then the main target below, which is that 1914.50 CHVN, and was a former, okay, where this whole run-up started, was all at that 1914.50. So if we get below 22.75, I would target all the way down to 14.50 before we see any type of real support. So just let me clarify this, because again, this is going to be a tricky day on the open. 44.25 is the key for me to see a balanced day, possibly down to 42.75, and then a rotation back up. But if we get below 44.25 and we can't get back above it, then we're going to bleed off, and we're likely going to come down, okay, towards this 1940, 1938. Below 38.75, actually I'm going to move this down just a bit to 38. And below that 38, then I think you got to be targeting this blunt area down here with those, main three levels of 34, 31.25, and the 27.25. And then if you go back to when we were trading back here, we talked about this area a lot. But if we can, either hold 44.25 or come down and find buyers at 42.75 and then come back up, then I think we're going to get a slow grind rotational day, okay, with a move up through 47.75 and back up into the overnight balance, and this balance and test this CLVN. And then if we can get above the 50, then I think we got a chance to get to 53 area, 52, 53, and we've taken out 3 naked VPOCs that were down below us. The next level you got to watch above is this 56.25. It's just below the half gap fill at 57.75. but it's a key CLVN. It's also the value area low from the 2-day balance that we just fell out of overnight. So I'd be using 56.25 as a trade level, and then if we can get above 56.25, look for them to come up and advertise to the sellers here at the 2-day microcomposite VPOC at 58.25, and of course that is the range low from the prior day. So I'd be targeting that, and then if it does happen and we do actually take most of this move back and we get inside of the range, you got a nice target here at 61. And if we can get above 61, then everything that happened overnight is going to be forgotten. The buyers are back into value, they're back into range. You've got a double distribution day from yesterday with the first resistance here at 1964. So I'd be using 64, and then if we can get above 64, you got a clear target to take out the naked VPOC and the gap close here at 67.25. I don't think that we've got enough power to do that. I think that we're lucky if we can get back up into this 52 area and chop around there, and then test the other side of that balance around that 52, 53 at the 56.25, and maybe if we're lucky, they get above that and we get a move to at least challenge the range low from yesterday. But again, likely going to get a lot of chop in this area. So the two levels that I would be looking to trade off of would be the 52. The 52.75. Okay. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that. I think that if we can get above 50, you got a nice shot into that 52.75. What's the LVN from overnight? The LVN is 52.50. Yeah, but I think if you do get above this 50 area, problem is, this 50 area is imbalanced down here where the buyers have stepped in. But I think if you do break the 50, in fact, I think we could use this 51 CLVN from the Globex composite for a trade area to get long into 52.75. So I'm going to use this 51, and I'm going to change this to a target. And then, of course, looking for continuation up through to that 56.25. Taking a look at what it looks like on the Renko with Keltner. Wrong one. All right, we're clearly got a downward channel on the Keltner. The center line of the Keltner is right at that 1950 area, 1949.75. So if we can get above that, a move up to test the upper Keltner will take us up into that 55.75, 56.25 area. That works really nicely. But if we reject the center line and we move down to test the lower line, that takes us down to that 43.75, and by the time we get there, it's more likely going to be that 42.75, 43 area. So you can see how clearly that looks. Going over to the Russell. All right, same thing with the Russell. Okay, we came down, we had the big move down. They found balance in around this 46.80. Come on. Last thing I need today is trouble with my levels, my buttons. Overnight low is down here at 1140. 1140.30, and the overnight high is way up here at 1170, 190. just inside the value area high. So we can get rid of this. The LVN, the key LVN, and the level right now for us on the Russell is going to be this 4870. Above, and of course, looking at the composite is going to be the key level for us on the Russell right now, and support to the downside is going to be this 1137.50. Come on. Okay, now a half gap fill on the Russell is going to take us up in around that 57, 58 area, but what I'll be watching is this 59.10. Okay, and if we can hold this 37, I'm looking for a chop between 43 and 47 with the slow grind up to 53. So 53 is going to be a key. 53.40 is going to be a key level. If we can get above 53.40, then I think you've got to move, okay, up to close the half gap and come up to this 11.59. We didn't come down to find buyers. We didn't get down there, okay, the other day where we were expecting the possibility that they would go down and pick up the buyers down there. So they're likely to go and see if it's the sellers, okay, and they can advertise to the sellers. So if we get above 11.53.40, this is a nice long into this 59, but likely going to chop between this 53.40 and this 37.50 and just get a very rotational day inside of this composite area. You got undetermined fair value at 43, 44.80, and 46.50 and 51 area, and we're likely to get chopped. But here's the key thing on the Russell. And if we can't hold 37, okay, you've got to clear. This right here is the composite VPOC down at 1116.40. On the September contract, on the June contract, that composite VPOC was actually up here at 1120.10. So if we get below this 37, this is now going to start acting as a magnet and likely to drag us down as they got to come down and find buyers to hold this market up. So if they can't do it at 37, then it's likely to come down, and if it comes down, the first target below 37 is going to be that 1130. Okay, with the other side, the lower side of balance down there at 1126. 2670. And I would say, if I was a betting man, that if we can't hold, I think 37 draws us down to test the other side of this balance around 30. But if we can't hold 1126.70, then look for, you got a really good probability, okay, of coming down into this 1120 for sure, and likely down here at 1116, because you're going to be sucked in with all of that long-term, okay, price acceptance between the buyers and the sellers down here at 1116. This is the composite that goes back to the swing low at 09, 10, 13. So we're likely to see capitulation of the buyers at that point until we get down into this 1116, 1110, and that's a major area. So you got 1120. Naked microcomposite VPOC and former composite VPOC. Come on. Howard, just keep an eye on my time if I'm going long, because there's, I know there's a lot to talk about. And then 1116.40. Come on. And then the other side of that balance is 1112.90. But I think at that point in time, if we don't bounce off of this 1116, 1120 and get a nice move up, then we're destined to go down and test the key centennial number at 1100 with intermediate targets at 1109. You can see how blunt this area of the profile is. So we're likely to come down here and spend some time down in this level. Take a quick look at gold. Well, yesterday, I want to show you this on a different time frame, just so that you can put it into better context. So, of course, those who have been with me for a while know that I've been watching this bottoming pattern, and we got long right here for the run-up into the 1400 off of this descending broadening wedge. This is a long-term, bottoming pattern, and you can see ever since we broke out of, the wedge, we've held above it. We came down in the last few weeks and tested again down to that 1941-42 area, and then we broke up. So yesterday I was talking about gold and where we were. Let me bring up the composite for it. And you can go back and watch yesterday's video, because we talked about that. Because I said if we could get back up outside of this, what was the value area high, which was at 23 something, I believe, I said we'd have a good move to come up and test 34, and then if we broke the 34 range high, okay, that we were likely to come up and test this 46 46 CLVN. Look where we went overnight. We got up as high as 46.80, okay, and now they're trying to hold us down here. So still, my hypothesis still remains the same. We have come up, we have found balance. We had the composite VPOC, and this composite VPOC goes all the way to 2008. Okay, it shifted from the 1293 up to the 1315.80 area. Okay, not yesterday, but the day before, and so we've accepted value higher. Long-term price acceptance has come up higher. We've accepted that value, and we've balanced out. You've got a nice, bell-shaped profile here, and now they break out, okay, and they go back into price discovery up. Exactly what we thought it would do. Now we've got to watch how they handle this 46.25 area. If they can't break out of 46.25, okay, then we're likely to rotate back down and at least come down to close. This, why is that line there? That shouldn't be there. To come down and, test the value area high, okay, from the micro composite, and likely come down if we break back inside of that, back down to this 1316 area again. But if they can get out above 46.25, I don't think 53 is going to hold. I'm looking for a move back up into this distribution zone, okay, up here. And then I think we're going to balance out up there again and stair-step our way up into the 1400s with the key level above us at this 1378. But the first target above 53, I'll be looking to get long into the 66 area with a continuation up to the 78. It's not going to happen overnight or in one day. I think it's it's going to be a slow grind up. But I think if they find support within the indices, then we're likely going to have to come back down, okay, if we can't break above that 46, back into the balance to test the value area high. But if they get above it, then I say all bets are off on coming back to find buyers with more conviction. We're likely to get a bigger move back up. Anyway, that's what I'm looking at. It's going to be an interesting open. If you are new trading or you're struggling with your trading, I would not even suggest that you trade today, because it could be some very sharp moves, and it could chop you up and spit you out very easily. And it's not going to be easy trading, because we don't know how the RTH traders are going to process the overnight news and this big move down. So to me, if you're new, go to the sidelines and watch and see what happens. You know, put your levels down, practice your game, okay, rather than risking money on the line today. Okay, practice your observations. You know, even go to sim and sim it. But you know, there are some opportunities. It's just going to be, you're going to have to be patient on the open, and you're going to have to know where you're wrong really quickly. So just be careful out there today, okay, gang? Anyway, that's going to complete the morning session. I'm going on the desk this morning to get some work done, so I'm not going to keep the commentary up. I'll leave my charts open, but you know, I won't be on the mic much at all today. So trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.